Hello, welcome to Her Journey Home. I'm your host, Sophia Graniela. My mission here is simple: to hold space for honest stories and conversations that are usually left unsaid. This podcast is for the women in seasons of becoming, rebuilding their lives, reclaiming their voice, and remembering who they were before the world told them who to be. So come as you are, and let's begin the journey home together. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Her Journey Home. I had full body chills when I thought about doing this episode today, so I know that I need to run with it. And something, I don't know if I've shared this before, but in the beginning of my podcasting journey, I used notes and I would write down every single bullet point, and it was very structured. And once I started to trust my own voice and I allowed myself to just channel this wisdom through me, all of a sudden my episodes started flowing a lot better. I had more fun. Podcasting is something that I get to do. It's not something that I have to do. So today's going to be no different. I'm just going to channel something that's been coming through very, very heavily recently, which is you need to find your way. And when I say your way, the way that you articulate yourself, the way that you show up in your business, the way that you express yourself. Maybe you use your hands like me. I'm from New York. The way that you do things that nobody else can replicate. The way that you create offers, your unique gifts and zone of genius. And the reason why I am so freaking passionate about this topic is because for the first year and a half, maybe more of my business, because I did not trust myself and I did not have discernment, I was slapping my credit card on the table for every other program. The reason I wanted to preface this episode by saying all of that is that it can be very, very easy to have shiny object syndrome when you do not trust yourself. Any little thing that you see on the internet, whether it's a $5 offer, a $27 offer, a $5,000 mastermind, you think that that is the golden ticket into your success. And then you do the things that the coach is telling you to do. You follow the frameworks, you follow the strategies, but for some reason in your body, you feel disconnected. You feel resistance. It feels icky. You're like, I don't want to do it that way. It doesn't feel right, but you do it anyway because you think, well, they've gotten the success. They have the millions of followers. They have the car that I want to drive. So I'm going to follow that and then I'm going to get the same results. That's not how this works. Authenticity is always going to trump strategy. It does not matter who you are following. You have to find your way because your way will never look or feel like anybody else's way. And people are teaching you what worked for them from their perspective, from their own perception. But just because it works for them and it feels good for them and it's aligned for them does not mean it is going to work for you or be aligned for you. And there are so many different ways that you can look into what your way is on an actual physical sense, right? Not just like an internal knowing, right? There's human design, there's astrology. There's all these different systems that can give you a little bit of a clue into how you do things, your energy type. But then it really boils down to trusting yourself, trusting your intuition and that internal voice that is always guiding you. God, I am new on my faith journey, but you're going to hear me use the word God in a lot of my episodes because I've been reading the Bible. I've been praying every morning. And I'm not in any organized religion, but I do believe in God and having this higher power that I can lean on. And so there's lots of different ways that you will be able to tap into your way. But I first wanted to just mention that all of the other things, all the external noise, all the other strategies and frameworks, you have to take what serves you and leave what does not. Otherwise, you get yourself into a very sticky situation of investing your time, your energy, your money, feeling resentment, feeling frustrated, feeling even more confused than when you started. And then you don't give yourself permission to pivot because someone else told you that that's messy or chaotic. So this all comes down to finding your way. Let me take you back a little bit. I recognize that I was at a crossroads in my life. I didn't know where I wanted to live. I didn't know what I wanted to talk about in business. I felt very uninspired at that time. And my nervous system was completely out of whack. Like I said before, I almost filed for bankruptcy last summer. And I had lost my period for 7 months because I was so financially stressed. And that is all I could think of. And what you focus on expands and it can take over your life. And so I recognized, okay, I need to go home and live with family. I need to feel safe. I need to nourish my body. It was also winter time. So it was really a time to just hibernate and just simmer and let myself be after so much moving and traveling and go, go, go. And while I was home, I recognized that I was still performing a version of me on the internet. I was still following strategies. I was still investing into low ticket offers. I was still doing all these things outside of me, thinking that that next thing was going to magically blow up my business. And one day in my living room in upstate New York, I just thought to myself, what am I doing? Business no longer feels fun. Creating content feels like a chore. I feel like I don't trust what's coming out of my mouth because I have no conviction in what I'm offering. And I had pivoted a lot on my Instagram page. If you scroll all the way back to the beginning of my page, Sophia Graniela, you would be shocked at how many times I changed the fonts, the colors, the message I was talking about. Everything has changed. And I recognize a very clear pattern. Well, I keep pivoting because I don't trust myself and I'm doing things that everyone else wants me to do or what I think people want me to do versus what I know I am here to do and create on planet Earth. And all of a sudden, I started thinking about every time I would get on a podcast, how my heart would just explode and I would get so in my flow and in my zone. And when I would get onto a podcast interview and someone would come onto her journey home, every single time we would get done, they would say, "You are so good at this. How do you hold space like this? How do you come up with these amazing questions? You're such a natural at this." I never quite clocked it until maybe the 20th time someone said that to me. And I thought, wait a minute, this comes really easy to me. Sitting behind a microphone and sharing what's on my heart now just comes naturally. And I have been a yapper since day one. Little Sophia loved to talk. I was always getting in trouble in class. I was always the one who was speaking out and blurting out. I was always the person that could just go on for days if I was talking to the right person. I love deep intellectual conversations. They literally melt my heart. And so then I recognized, wait a minute, I find podcasting to be relatively easy and simple for me because I get behind the mic and all of a sudden I just go, I create, I flow. And I had this spark of what on earth? Why am I not teaching women how to use their voice and to launch podcasts that they actually stay consistent with? Because I published 61 episodes in my first year of podcasting, which is unheard of. 99% of podcasters quit before they even hit 10 episodes. And I'm an EFT tapping practitioner. So I can blend the emotional support, the structure, and the strategy of a podcast together, which is chef's kiss. I've now helped almost 8 women launch their podcasts into the world. My entire life, I have struggled and felt resistance and thought it had to be hard. But I am here to challenge that belief because actually, your path can be the path of least resistance. And this is so important to recognize because so often we hold ourselves back from doing the thing that we love, that we're good at, that can change lives because we think, no, then there's no way it could be that. It's too easy. Everyone must feel this way. Trust me when I tell you that is not the case at all. And of course, when I thought, okay, I want to teach podcasting, imposter syndrome came up like a motherfucker. I thought, I've only been podcasting for a couple of years. I'm not an expert in this. Who am I to do this? But I could not shake the feeling that this was my way. My way of self-expression was sitting behind a microphone. My form of self-expression is sitting behind a microphone and allowing it to be channeled through me. This is where I feel the most like Sophia. This is my way. And it literally makes me so emotional even talking about it because I tried for so long doing it everyone else's way. And I wondered why I didn't sign clients. I didn't build trust. I didn't know what the heck I was talking about. I didn't enjoy showing up. Business felt like a chore. I wasn't passionate. And the reason that I share that story and I share all of this with you is because you're probably going through something similar right now. You may have something that's on your heart that you know you absolutely adore, that makes you unique, but it might come really easy to you. And you're like, there's no way that someone would actually pay me for that. There's no way that someone would trust me with that. And I'm here to tell you that they would, because what comes easy to you does not come easy to someone else. We all were put on this planet with a different level of skills, different unique gifts, different forms of self-expression. And now it is up to you to either listen to your body and to God, to your higher power, or you continue smashing your head up against a wall, trying, forcing something that it was never meant to be forced. And so what did I do? I thought of Unfiltered, which is my podcast and self-expression program, which I've now walked almost 8 women through, which is insane. That started as a little seed in my brain because I thought, no, this is my way. This is my uniqueness. This is what I'm gifted in. And instead of allowing imposter syndrome and fear to take over and dictate my decisions, I said, you know what? I'm going to feel this. I am scared. I am nervous as hell to put this out into the world, but I know that this is my way and I'm going to claim the lane. And because I had full body conviction in what I was offering and my gifts and my uniqueness, it started to flourish. And the universe, God, higher power, whatever it is that you believe in, will make it happen for you. But you have to do the work. You have to take the action. You have to feel the fear and do it anyway. So all of that to say, this is why it is so important that you find your way. And a lot of times it takes trial and error to get to this, right? I tried so many times getting new certifications, hiring different mentors, taking different programs, getting myself into over $50,000 worth of debt because I didn't trust myself. Maybe that's your path as well. And there's no wrong way to do this. I don't regret any of that because it led me here. But I want to talk about some tangible ways that you can start to really connect with your way. First and foremost, I want to really urge you to take a 30-day detox from any type of investments, programs, overconsumption on the internet. Because what I recognized within myself is that I was constantly scrolling and comparing myself. Well, they do it that way and their way works, so my way must not be right. Oh my goodness, your mind can become such a dangerous place when you get into that loop. So 30-day detox. Stop investing into programs, stop overconsuming, sit with yourself and get quiet. I can guarantee you that you've already invested into lots of programs that you can revisit. You already have an internal guidance system that you can create something from. But when we are constantly relying on another investment, it disconnects us from what we're actually meant to share and do in the world. So first things first, 30-day detox, no investing, no overconsumption, and getting back to you. Second thing, I want you to sit with your inner child. This one is really freaking important. I sat with little Sophia and the things that came through, I was sobbing, full body chills, sobbing. Sit with her and ask her, what did you love to do growing up? What made you feel like you could just be yourself and be playful and giddy? Where did you feel the safest and the most like yourself? Who could you be? Who would you be if you weren't worried about someone judging you or perceiving you in a certain way? What do you desire? Ask your inner child, what do you desire? What life do you want to live? What do you want to be known for? And when you sit with your inner child, I can almost guarantee you memories will start to flood in. Even for me, as someone who doesn't remember a lot of their childhood, I started to get memories. Oh my gosh, I was in the spelling bee when I was growing up. Oh my gosh, I used to go around to my neighbors selling soaps, having conversations with people. I used to sing and dance. I loved talking. So of course I love podcasting. So get clear on that. It's going to be different for every single person that's listening to this episode. Number 3, what have your friends and your family come to you for advice for your entire life? People message you and they're like, hey, can I pick your brain on this? Hey, you're so good at this. How did you do this? Right? Maybe people just feel really safe with you, mentor. Number 4, what are those things that I do where I just get into absolute bliss and flow state? My guard comes down, my walls come down, and I can just completely lose track of time and nothing else in the world even matters. I have zero care for anything else when I'm doing that thing. And maybe there's multiple things. And maybe not every single thing needs to be your thing or the thing that you sell in your business or needs to become a business even. But I can guarantee if you sit down and ask yourself all of these questions and you sit with your inner child, there will be something that comes up for you where you're like, I know I need to intertwine this in my business. And then number 5 is just getting radically honest with yourself about the way that you are doing things right now. Whatever strategy you're following, whatever framework that you're following, whatever coach that you're working with, are you doing it because it feels genuinely aligned in every fiber of your being and it's just helping you elevate what you already know you're here to create and to put into the world? Or are you doing it for a sense of validation? Are you waiting for their permission? Are you doing it because you think that whatever they have for you is going to give you the answer that you need to finally blow up your business. Because I was relying on that way too much. I thought someone outside of me had the answer. And so I was continuously on this chase and this search. And it always left me empty-handed. It always left me feeling resentful. So get so freaking honest with yourself about where you are right now in your business, in your life. I promise you, if you go and you really sit with these 5 things that I just walked you through, you are going to get a sense of, if I could just go back and tell Sophia 2 years ago when I first launched my podcast, when I first started in business, to just trust your intuition and to follow what lights you up and to dive into the things that you're passionate about and to just speak on the message on your heart to connect with the people who desperately need it, business would have been so much less frustrating. There were so many moments where I second guessed myself, where I wanted to give up, but something in me was like, you're not giving up. This is your path. You just haven't found your way yet. I hope that you take something away from all of this juiciness. The thing I want you to take away from this episode is that you have full permission. You have to give yourself permission to pivot when something does not feel like a full body hell yes. If it is not a hell yes, it is a hell no. You are allowed to release what no longer serves you. And you can give yourself permission to pivot, to actually go after the thing that lights your soul on fire, because it will change your life. And I am living, breathing proof of this. I love you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Her Journey Home. As always, please go ahead and like, rate, subscribe to the podcast because it helps me show up every single week having these beautiful conversations. And I will see you for another episode next Thursday.